I don't have time to keep up with the latest fitness fads and celebrity workouts. I just need a fitness and nutrition plan that actually gets results. Caliber is a top-rated, science-based fitness program completely customized to my needs and abilities, designed around my schedule. An expert personal trainer keeps me motivated so I stay consistent and see results. Get $100 off Caliber today at caliberstrong.com/podcast. That's caliberstrong.com/podcast.
This is a More Than Just Podcast production.
Welcome to this podcast, Season 6, Episode 8. My name is Timothy. I am in Toronto, Ontario, and I'm joined once again by Jonathan Kuline in Mississauga, Ontario.
Hello there, kids.
And we also have Jaime Lopez Jr. on the line in Seattle, Washington.
How's it going?
On the con, as it were. All right. Well, we have some fact check. Ariana Grande appears in reruns of Sam and Cat on YTV. I was trying to figure out what show she was on, and that's the one. And last week I was talking about the prequel to The Foundation. It wasn't called the prequel. As I said last week, it was actually Prelude to The Foundation. And there was a second prelude to The Foundation called Forward the Foundation. And then, of course, the Foundation books are Foundation and Empire, and Second Foundation. And then after that, he wrote, after the first two prequels, like George Lucas, he wrote Foundation's Edge, and then he wrote Foundations and Earth. And that Foundations and Earth is the one where he brings the robot novels together with Foundation and caps off a big, 60-year writing career, right? With a big giant arc no one can compete with. This is Isaac Asimov I'm talking about, of course. And that's it for the fact check, and we'll move on to the headlines. And Jaime, you're up first.
Yeah, we've got the nice trailer for the Secret Invasion series, a 6-episode crossover event, according to this link from Marvel Studios, coming out Disney Plus. It's got Nick Fury, it's got Skrulls, it's got plot threads that are definitely going to lead into future phases, I would assume. Mm-hmm. Got everything for the family.
Yeah,
it does seem kind of dark, though. It seems I don't know if it's family friendly fare. It seems kind of grim.
Got to teach them young not to trust people. And to come up with good ways to figure out if the other person is truly who they say they are, because that was always a good thing, people trying to steal identities and fraud. But in this future world where the kiddos are growing up into, AI that can replicate images and voices, and the way people communicate is going to be, everybody's going to have to figure out how to get rid of changelings, right? That's kind of where everything's going. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, Bob.
Sorry, the part of that is that they also announced the release date too, right? They have a formal June 20 something.
I think it was the 21st. I think I saw it in the article. June 21st on Disney Plus.
There you go.
Yeah, and it looks pretty like I think of the invasion people that you were talking about, Jonathan, as sort of aliens, I guess. They look vampire-ish.
Yeah, I mean, they're the Skrulls, right? They're the ones that we saw in Captain Marvel, and then we've seen them pop up at the end of, spoilers, at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home as well. We found out that they have been hiding among us already, because they were imitating Nick Fury and Maria Hill in that.
Oh, were they? Ooh.
So the characters we saw that we thought were Nick Fury and Maria Hill in that whole movie were actually Skrulls in disguise. So that's supposed to be the tip-off that things are bad.
Oh, in the Spider-Man.
In the Spider-Man Far From Home, yeah.
Oh, really? Huh. Yes, like you said last week, all bets are off.
Well, it's a fun twist, right? Because it is just like the changelings we're dealing with right now in Star Trek. It kind of opens up the possibilities to anything, so.
Yeah, that's true. All right, what you got next, Tommy?
Next is something we've talked about before, the Blue Beetle movie coming from the folks at DC. So it has an official trailer that's dropped. It has a release date for the theaters, August 18th. Folks should know it's one of those, at least in the comic books, this iteration of Blue Beetle is eerily close to somebody that you may know on this very show, whose name is Jaime from El Paso in Texas. Hispanic.
Did you get bitten by a spider too?
Radioactive beetle?
Right. I think in this trailer, from what I saw, though, my hometown isn't getting in there. It looks like they're following the same scheme of using stand-ins for cities like Metropolis and Gotham. It looks like Palmera City is. I don't know if it's meant to be El Paso or kind of felt more like a Miami sort of vibe to me.
Mm.
It's something I can understand. It's kind of more in tune with what they tend to do for those. Just like we have enjoyed Black Panther and what that did for the African community. I have proposed the idea that, like Shang-Chi, I wanted to support it at the time that it came out because it was like Jade Panther. I don't know what to call this one. Brown Panther? Mex Panther. I couldn't come up with something good.
Yeah.
Well,
it is a bit like...
Or for the rest of us, we can call him Blue Panther, because that way we won't get in trouble. How about that, Jaime?
Yeah. It is a bit like Shazam and Spider-Man too, because obviously, not much spoilers for the trailer, but he's obviously gets a little bit more than bitten by this Blue Beetle, but and then he sort of like a young teen transformed. It is kind of an interesting sort of, and it's I guess a bit of Iron Man too, because it's got that sort of Jarvis kind of.
Yeah, it's somewhere between
voiceover feel.
Iron Man and Green Lantern, right? So it's sort of a suit of armor, but it can create a lot of other things like Green Lantern. So yeah, it's kind of a blending of classic superhero tales. But as Jaime points out, the twist on this one is that we get a Latinx main character, which is stupidly overdue. I saw one of the quotes that came out when the trailer dropped the other day. I think it was who plays the dad? It's George Lopez, right?
George Lopez and Eva Longoria are in there.
Yeah, I think he said this movie is unapologetically Latino, and I was like, that's nice. I like that phrase. That's good. So yeah, no, I think it's good, and it actually looks like fun. Like I think that's the thing that I think most people are critical about the DC movies is they're, for the whole Snyder run, they were just so grim. This, just like Shazam, it just looks like, back to basics, fun coming of age. How do you figure out to be a hero while you're still trying to figure out how to be an adult, a young adult? It just looks fun.
What universe is Shazam from? Is that Marvel or is it?
No, that's DC as well.
DC?
Yeah.
Oh, it's DC? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was a kind of a fun movie. I haven't seen the second one yet, but...
Jaime, are you throwing your dollars down on this one just to support the Latinx community?
Yeah, I think so. It was a little bit different when Shang-Chi came out, that it was like, I might just throw in some money even if I don't feel comfortable going out into the pandemic world. And they didn't need my dollars, as I mentioned. Like, they absolutely did not need my dollars, which is good, right? But I was wanting to throw some money in there to let the studio execs that care about the money see that people will support it. So I'll be doing the same for Blue Beetle. I'll be trying to be there, right around opening day. Maybe choose a showing during the middle of the day or something, just depending how I feel. But yeah, definitely going to end up supporting this one, hoping that other people will too.
Yeah. No, like it's as we say, it's insane that this is the sort of first major lead character in a movie like this. It's long overdue, so good to see. But more importantly, it looks like a good movie, right? Like it looks like it's gonna be a fun watch.
Yeah, the last time we had something like this was Zorro, going way back when, right? So, and I'm not talking about the Banderas one, I'm talking about the one before that.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, and I don't think he was Latino either.
No.
Although some of the actors were, but not enough. And one more from you, Jaime.
Yeah, something that is absolutely going to make $1 billion pretty easy, because they've established a pattern, is Disney's live action remakes are going forward, and the next one is Moana. So they've got the announcement here, starring Dwayne Johnson. As pointed out, this one is not quite as old as some of the other remakes, which at least had a couple decades in most cases. This one is from 2016, so they're just eventually going to run out of ground here to remake the animated films into live action. But when it comes to Dwayne Johnson reprising his role as Maui, like Maui was essentially designed to be The Rock, right? It was a caricature of The Rock, and took his look and mannerisms and passion for life. So I will definitely watch this just because I enjoyed that movie a lot. I don't know that I will go to the theaters to do it. I don't know that it'll be a watch on day one Disney Plus, but I'll definitely see this one.
Yeah, this feels like a Disney Plus watch.
Yeah, I haven't seen Moana, although it is a huge theme in our house with a 7-year-old granddaughter.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, especially having gone to Hawaii when she was little. So like the whole bedroom theme is Moana. Interesting, but you're right though. It's an interesting thing because they did Beauty and the Beast first, I think, and then they did the Mulan.
They've done a bunch of them now, right? They've done all kinds of them.
And they're doing the Little Mermaids coming out, right? So
yeah. Pinocchio, Dumbo, The Lion King,
really? Okay,
Aladdin.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was sort of thinking. Like they're gonna have to go back and do like the Rescuers and the Rescuers Down Under. There's like
and the Aristocats.
There's like a limit. Yeah, Aristocats.
They are doing Aristocats. They're doing Aristocats, a live action Aristocats. I think Questlove. I think Questlove's going to direct it.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. They're going through the catalog. I can't wait till they try and figure out how to do the anthropomorphized foxes in the Robin Hood movie. That's going to be a really cool one.
Right. Well, they already did that one though, but in reverse.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Are we gonna? Have they done what was it, the one about the two dogs, Lady and the Tramp yet?
I think they did.
They did. It was a Disney Plus release. I don't think it came out in theaters.
But like actual dogs or
yeah. Well, I mean they're CGI, but yeah.
Oh, they're CGI. Okay.
Yeah, it's I guess technically not live action. Like the Lion King technically wasn't live action, but the feeling is it was the CGI rendered to appear as if they were actual live action.
Well, was the Lion King sort of like the Broadway version done in film?
No. They did it again, more CGI, more real animals.
Actual animals.
Yeah. No, it wasn't like humans interpreting animals. It was animals.
Oh, okay. Like the old Disney stuff back in the day, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, was the animals walking around Sunday afternoons? Wild World of Disney. Yeah.
Cool.
Speaking of remakes, so the good
Speaking
folks,
of remakes, they said they'd never make. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if they say they'd never make them again. The money train's got to keep coming. So Warner Brothers Discovery is apparently talking about doing a TV series based on the Harry Potter books. This is a story from Entertainment Weekly this week. They said that they envision it as every season of the show is one of the books from the original Harry Potter series. This is so I have some conflicted feelings about this one. I enjoyed the Harry Potter books. I enjoy the Harry Potter games and movies and other things. However, this like so many other people, this whole J.K. Rowling and her intractable stance against trans people is offensive to me, and it's offensive to a lot of people I know, and so I don't wish her well anymore. I am disappointed that she will continue to die on that hill, and now, frankly, I hope she does die on that hill. So as much as I'm like supportive of good quality material, and she's inarguably created a really fascinating and deep world here, I don't feel excited about this like I would have if this had been a couple years ago. And I wonder if this is just gonna, I wonder where the balancing point on this is between people who just love this world and people who are just done with her. Is this going to blow up in Warner Brothers Discovery's face? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they're still selling tickets to the theme park and people are still watching the movies. I just have a tough time now, like reconciling it. I mean, it's like we talk about it all the time, the art and the artist. I have a tough time reconciling this one. And I'm not as excited as I would have been, because the idea of doing these books as TV shows, if they do, 10 episode seasons and you get 10 hours to do a Harry Potter story as opposed to 2 hours, is really compelling. But also I'm not compelled.
But it's ironic too that if you think about it, like the overarching theme of Harry Potter is about a kid who's different than everybody else, kind of thing, right? And trying to find his place in the world and finding out that there's more to him than what he imagines or has been told. I mean, so that's so ironic that she would take that stance.
Yeah.
Is it ironic or hypocritical? I can't remember which word is the right one. But
it is hypocrisy, is what it is.
Yeah, so it's kind of because they talk about there's other like mutants, like the X-Men. That sort of is also a parallel to people who feel different and act different and have different sensibilities than the run of the mill, right? That could be seen as a metaphor for the LGBTQ community as well, right?
Yep.
Or an allegory, I guess. What is it now? Yeah, I don't know, but you know what I mean, like. And so it's so odd that she would come out so vocally against that kind of thing when in fact she started out celebrating differences in people, right?
Yeah, but it's just
and hidden talents and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing that she holds those beliefs and she is steadfast in defending them. Again, she defends them in the name of feminism, and I guess people have their, as I say, these things that they're willing to risk, their reputation upon. And, she's never wanted to back away from that. But, again, I'll be really curious if they continue to move forward with this. I mean, so far for Warner Brothers, Harry Potter has been a goldmine. They made 8 movies. They've made a fortune off those. They made 3 more Fantastic Beasts movies. Not quite as well done and not quite as profitable, but they're still, I'm sure, doing okay off those. Merchandise, theme parks, toys. There's, they're not dumb. They're not going to do it if there's no good reason to do it. But it's just disappointing that, that it's tied to this unfortunate legacy now.
Yeah, but I think people are I don't know if they're ignorant or whatever, or they just. I think they would go and consume this simply because it entertains the children and keeps them from driving them crazy, kind of thing, or they may have some personal feeling about it themselves, irrespective of the creators, personal foibles, right? So I don't think, like Twitter, it's not going anywhere, right? The Harry Potter universe is not going anywhere. Well, and I'm not surprised that they're doing a remake because it was only a matter. It's been 20 years. I mean, they're just doing. In this video clip that's in this article, they talk about it's the 20th anniversary of the original installment, right?
Yeah.
So of the movies, right? So
yep, yeah. It's like I say, money's going to talk in this business, and unfortunately, that means sometimes you have to, you're going to end up. Look at the people that have had careers over the years that we don't necessarily agree with the way that they've comported themselves. Some for the long run and some for the short run, but yeah. All right, well, let's move away from that to something I am really excited about, which is the new trailer for the Into the Spider-Verse sequel, Across the Spider-Verse. Really funky looking new trailer, very fast-paced, very kind of exciting, kind of action-packed trailer this time. And we get to see a little bit more of sort of the sort of mass number of spider characters that they've pulled into this one. And I mean, it's so funny, though. Like, every time I see one of these now, I get more excited. But I'm also just like, no, you already had my money. Like, you don't have to just tell me when it starts. Like, stop. You just stop kicking that dead horse. It's fine. Like, I'm coming. I'm going to be there. Don't worry about it. It's exciting, but it's also like, especially because it was delayed, right? It was supposed to be at Christmas time last year, and it's been delayed till this year. And now every time they show me a trailer, I'm like, okay, cool. When is it? Oh, it's not for another couple months, huh? Okay, cool.
Yeah, why was it delayed? I mean, I hate to point out that it's animated. So what was it, like production delays, or was COVID in the way of this, or was it just? Or was it because it was produced over the last couple of years? What was the delay about?
I think when they made the announcement last year, I think what they said was basically, we want to make sure that this is as good as it could possibly be. And if we rush it out, we don't feel like it'll be quite there yet. So I guess it must have been production crunch. They were trying to rush it for a certain timeline.
Could have also been the Top Gun Maverick kind of resurrecting this whole theater-going experience thing that they were waiting for too, right?
It's entirely possible. Maybe they thought, if we kick this thing back 6 months, we'll have a better crack at having a better audience in there. I mean, it's coming out on June the 2nd this year. That's, theoretically a decent time of year to start getting people into the theaters. So who knows? But
True. Yeah,
I mean,
it's summertime.
I think, especially the last one was, it won the Academy Award for Best Animated Picture. It was pretty much universally beloved. So, I mean, they've got a lot of runway. So I think they can, even if they trotted out the early version, I think we would have all been pretty happy. But if they put that much more spit and polish on it, hopefully it's going to be something truly special. So,
Yeah, it looks good.
And the last thing I've got here, a little sad news, but I thought it was worth giving this person their due. So, Klaus Tober, who was the designer who created the game Settlers of Catan, passed away this week at the age of 70. Again, somebody who's not necessarily a household name, but profound effect on nerd culture. Catan is, of course, ubiquitous with, a lot of sort of nerd culture. It's a very popular game. Lots of people have played it. It's had numerous expansions. The article we've got here says it's sold 32 million units so far. I mean, this is one of the biggest, well-traveled games around the world. And this is, obviously somebody who is definitely left an impact. So, so sad to hear about his passing, but yes, German game designer Klaus Tober.
I've never played it. Have you played it?
I have not. I know a lot of people who are way into it, but it always seemed too involved for me. Like, it just seems really, really deep. And every time I've thought about playing, people are like, "Oh, I've played like 20 times. You should play." I'm like, that sounds terrible. I would like to play with people who are also at my level, please. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's probably. To me, it sounds like a Dungeons and Dragons thing. Like you have to be involved. How about you? Have you played it? Or
I have only a few times. So trading for the resources and stuff like that is a big part of the strategy sets. Where I would say, like, Jonathan, you probably want to play with people who are around the same level.
Yeah.
So it's the meta game isn't something that you're getting hurt by.
Right. Yeah. Well, we'll move on to the main part of the show. This week we're talking about something Star Trek related, and it's, of course, Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 8, Surrender. What could that be about? Where we last left our crew, they were being held prisoner. What's your elevator pitch?
Mine was a riff off the title, which I'm sure is what they were going for. But sometimes the best path to victory is through surrender.
I put Picard must give up the boy or watch the crew get hurt. Sort of the premise there.
Yeah, mine is never look a gift horse in the mouth. Referring to lore, of course.
Yep. Never look a gift cat in the mouth.
Yeah. Or Tasha Yar. Yeah.
That's right.
Anyway, interesting that he keeps Tasha Yar in a little jar.
Well, that's his little. It's the thing that she gave her own eulogy at her funeral, right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's the little thing he kept after she died. That was her farewell speech.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and Spot too.
In Spot, yeah. So there was a bunch of Easter eggs in there, of course, tying back to TNG episodes. The Tasha thing, the Spot, of course, coming back, and then Holmes's hat and pipe, of course. There's lots of little tastes in there, and of course you hear Data flashing back his memories and stuff like that. But yeah, it was. I had that. Obviously, the episode had a lot. It sort of went in a bunch of different directions and focused on the Riker Troy story. It focused on the Data and Lore story. It focused on the Jack Crusher stuff. But yeah, for me, obviously, I think we're all kind of waiting for a Data centric episode, given that he was sort of the late to the game in this series. So it was nice to have that. Although, I don't know, did you guys find the Data versus Lore battle inside the mind for control thing? Do you find it played out well for you?
Well, I kind of got the impression. My gut feeling was there was going to be some sort of amalgamation. That's kind of how I saw that playing out. And the fact that Lore was winning, I didn't feel threatened by that. Because I knew there was going to be, a last minute, something would happen last minute, maybe with the cat or something would throw the conversation over. Because I it starts out with Lore taking the things from Data, and then it ends with Data giving him the things. And as soon as I realized that Data was giving them to him, I realized that Data had some sort of, he had an ace up his sleeve kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also didn't take tension from it because I, like Tim, sort of felt like, well, I'm pretty sure Data is going to be the victor at the end of this. So for me, I found it more interesting to look at it from a couple of different angles, from the sort of philosophical angle, right? About what makes, the measure of a life. And from Data's perspective, it is the memories. And he has a really beautiful quote here that I had here, which is, you took the things that were me, and in doing so, you have become me. We are one now. We are me. Goodbye, brother.
Yeah,
and
that was a great quote.
Yeah, that one works out really well, and it seemed to me like the more philosophical angle, and then the angle of comparing. Granted, these are copies of Data and Lore, right? Because they're artificial. But I looked at it as like, Data ended up having a superior plan because he is not the Data that Lore would remember. He's not the naive younger brother who could be easily taken advantage of. This Data has already been through that, right? He's had years of activation after Lore has presumably been deactivated, right? So Lore is now in many ways sort of the younger brother, as if there was timey-wiminess going on, but they're artificial, so that doesn't even need to happen. You just keep one off and keep the other one on, and this one doesn't have as much experience as the other. So I didn't feel tension from it. I just looked at it from that's kind of what's happening here. One, the younger brother is now the more experienced brother, and the philosophical angle around what does it mean to live? How do you measure the worthiness of life? And I thought it was really beautiful to have the memories are what make you sort of angle.
Yeah, I sort of saw him as a Tuvix. So I was surprised that he didn't insist on having a new name, because now he's a combination of the three of them, right? Because he did say that he's part B4, part Lore, right? And the fact that he actually makes
Data Lore?
Yeah, Data Lore or something like that. Yeah, but he ends up with what was that? That pirate John, like real long name that they kept repeating in Mandalorian.
On Star Wars last week, yeah.
But I kind of expected him to sort of like, because he did use contractions at the end, which is again, when we were talking about, we were trying to figure out who the Worf character was going to be, like when it turned out to be Worf, and there was no contractions in the messaging, because basically Worf and Data were the only two that didn't use, they would say cannot and did not, and they wouldn't say the contraction. And because Geordi points that out to him at the end there. He says he has a couple, right?
Yep.
No, I didn't, he says. And the pew-pews, you've got that as your best pew-pew?
Yeah, I think the Data versus Lore stuff was probably better than even the sort of pew-pew, because there wasn't, a ton. I guess there was some pew-pew. But it was kind of a slow burn a little bit at the beginning of the episode. I found that the first 10 or 15 minutes of the episode a little bit dragged for me, which is the first time I think I felt that in this series so far. But just the whole, you come to the bridge, I'm going to execute somebody, and it's just, it wasn't exactly Star Trek 3. It was like, oh, they're going to shoot one of those randoms. Okay, cool. It didn't.
Look, she shot the one I wasn't thinking she was going to shoot.
What a twist! Yeah, no, it wasn't exactly the most dramatic tension there. Although again, Amanda Plummer was divine once again as Vadic, who, she's just, oh man, she's as good as her dad in moments. She's just chewing up the scenery. She was having a lot of fun playing this part, and kind of obviously sad to see her I'm guessing permanent demise in this one. She seemed pretty dead at the end of this.
Shattered, yeah.
Yeah. But
I thought maybe she would fall into the warp core on the other ship and then melt back into herself, kind of thing,
Yeah,
that's what I thought was coming instead of what happened. But the Worf rescue, where he, the guy comes and he's about to shoot Riker, and he ends up with a batleth. impaled through his chest, and then it turns out that's Worf, right?
Yeah, and Worf just got, I mean, this whole series, he's just been incredibly dryly funny. Like, the lines that he gets are so good, and I don't know
Especially when he meets Deanna for the first time, right?
Yeah. Like, he's just so, like, when they give him a hug and he says, one's personal space is a right, like, it just, it's so deadpan and so dry and so funny. And then, again, I've got these in the best quotes, so that they said what, but I have slaughtered countless enemies over the years, and I considered sending their heads to all of you, but I was advised that was passive aggressive. It's just too good, like it's they're clearly having a great time writing that character, and Michael Dorn is just, he's just being so perfectly Worf. It's awesome. But
along those with when the rescue of Troy and Riker, where Riker's little quips in between of some of what Worf is saying, of like, that's inappropriate, is funny, because it's like, well, yes, after a stressful day and everybody in the house has gone to sleep, maybe a little self-evaluation is a good way to de-stress.
Yeah, I did like the humor that we got from Data when he comes on the comm, that line, "Greetings, USS Titan. This is your friendly positronic pissed off security system. Back online. Back. Unwanted guests and monologuing protoplasm. I am announcing an immediate shift change." It was a weird episode, because I think they were trying to ratchet up the tension and then break the tension with a little bit of humor as they sort of got into those moments of the rescue and then Data coming back and everything. Again, this probably was the least consistent episode of the run so far, but also still had some great moments.
It was a long one, though. It was a long episode.
Yep.
Did you find?
Yeah, it was. And they continued to double down or triple down, or what are we, 8 episodes in? Octuple down on this whole, what is Jack? What's the mystery? What's going on with him? So again, that's my big question out of this one is, okay, we're down to 2 episodes left. Next week, they've got to finally...
What's behind door number 3?
Yeah, they've got to finally give us what's behind the door and what is going on with Jack Crusher. So here we go. Last guesses. Anyone got a good guess on what's going on with Jack Crusher?
Man, how many Star Trek tropes have they gone through in this series?
Does it feel like there should be another twist? Does it feel like there should be another weird character that was unexpected, something else, or do you think they just write it out? This one we finally got
possession of Barclay.
We finally got the gang together, right? We got, pardon the pun, seven of 9, right? We got 7.
We even had them at the boardroom table at the end there.
Well, that's it. We got the 7 of the original 9 characters. Obviously, no Tasha Yar, she's dead, and no Wesley, he's a space creature or whatever the hell they turned him into. But this is the big moment we kind of have been waiting for this whole run, is getting the whole band back together in one room. Although I did find this episode also kind of lost me a little bit when, like, everybody was just, like, professing their love for one another. I've thought of you often. Oh, I thought of you. And in these moments, I think it just got a little overwrought for my taste. But, okay, I get what they're going for. But, I couldn't help but think, as they were building up to this last bit of tension, I'm like, Are we going to get one more twist? Is there going to be like, the Romulan Tasha Yar's daughter show up? Are we going to get some weird random last twist in these last 2 episodes that pays this off? Or is this like, was there Picard? They had a threesome with a changeling? Like, what are we supposed to get off all of this?
Yeah, is it another, what was, Deep Space Nine's Captain
Sisko?
Emissary?
Sisko.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the emissary, right? Or
he
whatever?
was, yes.
Like, is there going to be something like that again, where it's, an alien possessing them? I mean, that goes right back to the original series, too, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. By the way, the one line you missed in your quotes was, "My name is 7 of 9."
Yeah. Well, and I also she also gave the "Get off my bridge," which was very Harrison Ford. Was it Air Force One? Get off my plane.
Yeah.
Yeah. The pew 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 I had related to to that was Vadic getting the Alien Queen and T-1000 combo, right? Getting sent into the cold, dark reaches of space, and then because you're frozen, getting
drops an
shattered.
F-bomb on the way out the door.
Yeah.
Solids.
Solids, yeah. Yep. Yeah, I mean, 2 more episodes to go. We've got the band
there's
back
2
together.
more episodes? I thought it was just 1. Okay.
I think it's 2 more. It's 10 episode season.
I think it's 10, but
yeah.
Well, the red door reminds me of the Red Angel from season 2 of Discovery, right?
Which we had figured out in what, like 3 episodes?
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I mean, what's behind the door? It's kind of like, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. It's interesting that Deanna's the one that's going through with him, though, right? That's kind of an interesting twist. And again, why, if she's a Beta Z, why did she have to put her hands out? Is it just so that as a signal that he's giving up or like he's cooperating with her? Because she's never had to lay her hands on anybody else before to sort of feel what they're feeling, right?
Well, he's an attractive man, Tim. I mean, come on.
And she is technically single, right?
Yeah, I mean, hard to say.
And she's taken after her mother, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, really. The line at the beginning when Riker calls her Imzadi and she says, "Imzadi, I should have taught you another word," because he's just constantly using that one. That made me laugh too. Where it's like, it's true. If your partner only ever called you like honey, and that was the one term of endearment for you, were just honey for every single time, you'd be like, stop calling me that.
Yeah, well, it's like in that the big was a big door prize show that I'm watching. The one of the main characters, he bought his wife said once that she likes puffins, so for years he's been giving her stuffed puffins and puffin cookies and calls her Puff. And the episode I just watched, she's like, I said it once that I liked them, and he gets a garbage bag and he starts picking up all the puffins around the house as they're having an argument and throwing them all out. But that's the same sort of thing. Is that Imzadi was sort of the label, the one Beta Z word he learned that he's kind of kept, right?
Mm.
And it probably means like honey bunny or something,
Yeah, exactly.
I kept thinking honey bunny too while I'm watching Amanda Palmer, because she, like, it's so hard to see. She's so good at it, but you don't see the honey bunny in Vadic, right?
Oh yeah, Amanda Plummer. Yeah, although every once in a while her voice hits a certain inflection or something where it just sort of clicks you in. You're like, oh yeah, that's right. This is Amanda Plummer again.
Yeah. No, she's good.
Yep. All right, 2 to go.
All right, let's move on to The Mandalorian. Speaking of 2 to go. 1 to go? 2 to go?
2 to go.
2 to go.
2 to go.
There you go.
Everything's wrapping up. 2.
All right.
Yep.
Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 6, Chapter 22. That's not a confusing title. Guns for Hire. Yeah, so.
Jaime, what's your pitch?
Mine is in the style of Rick and Morty, and you'll see why. It says, while seeking to recruit Mandalorians to their cause, Bo-Katan and Mando have to pull a Blade Runner. Okay. That's what I went with.
No, I get it. I'm with you. I feel
Star
you.
Wars,
All
right? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. No, I get it. That's good. Yeah, this one to me really, it felt like the most video gamey moment in this one. Like, this is a side quest, right? This is what you do when you're like, you want to get from point A to point B. You know that there's like something really important that's going to come up. Big cutscene, big boss fight at the end of this part, but you have to do a side quest first, and you're like, oh, stupid side quest. So I had Din and Bo go on a wild side quest filled with, frankly, distracting guest stars.
Yeah, that's true.
The one with the cameos is a good alternative.
Yeah,
pitch,
exactly. Right? The one with all the cameos. That's right.
Oh yeah, the three huge cameos, right?
Yeah.
The part in the middle reminded me of the chase. I think it was in what was the third bad prequel?
Revenge of the Sith?
Attack of the Clones.
No, yeah, I think it's the beginning of Attack of the Clones, right? Where they're trying to chase down the bounty hunter.
Yeah, and they're running through and they're knocking over all the people. Like just the collateral damage in these shows. They never go back and show all the the citizens who've been run over by Jedis, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, who's going to pay for that window?
Exactly.
And who still uses glass?
Yeah, what show was it we were watching with that was a repercussion? It was something we were watching where it was a sci-fi show where they got called on the damage they did. I'm trying to remember what the hell it was. It was one of these Disney ones. I can't remember. It'll come back to me in a minute.
I like the it's the scene in Firefly when Mal starts the bar fight on the one day he goes into the bar and he starts to fight, and they throw him through the window, but the window's just a force field. He just comes flying through the force field and out into the front.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yep. But I had the droid chasing scene as my pew pew pew. I probably thought that was better than the. I liked a bit of the big fight at the end between Bo-Katan and Axe Woves, but it wasn't everything I would have liked to have seen when two Mandalorians go toe to toe. Like, it was cool.
No,
She actually got the little shield out, which she uses in the Clone Wars and Rebels series. But it wasn't the best fight I've ever seen. I'll be honest.
No, yeah. I did like Din Djarin's algorithm solution where he starts kicking the droids.
Oh yeah, I had that as my quote. Hey, I figured out which one was malfunctioning, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop kicking the droids.
Yeah. I did. I did like the lead into that one too, where they're like, you need to go and hunt down these rogue battle droids, and they're like, what do you think? And he goes, you had me at battle droids.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's true. But I mean, the whole concept of droids going into a bar and getting high off of oil, like that was that's like dogs playing poker to me. Like it's.
But again, they're not robots. They're droids. They're sentient in their way, right? They're not just robots. They look like robots as we would think of robots, but So
when I'm programming a battle droid that's going to go into war and fight, and his main thing is to follow orders, take directions, and just go into a melee and just fire and not worry about dying, why do I care if he gets high off of oil? Why would I program that into him?
Yeah.
Or them.
No, I mean, it's a fair point. I guess, the idea is that they start out as a factory, base programming, just like the clones do on the Clone Wars, right? They come out all the same, but then over the course of time, they evolve and they change and they become unique. I mean, R2-D2 and C-3PO certainly are given tons of personality over the course of the different films. So,
yeah,
why couldn't... I guess it comes down to, like, intellectual programming level. I mean, do they all speak basic? What level of code? You guys are good at this. What kind of coding do you have to put in to get a battle droid? Do you have to upgrade that to get the drink package?
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of dependency management there, that's for sure.
Yeah. What did you think of the cameos? So we got Jack Black playing Captain Bombardier. We got Lizzo playing the Duchess. And of course, we got the legendary Christopher Lloyd as Commissioner Hellgate. Did you enjoy this, or was this a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it's kind of like, when I was younger, I guess I would have been, oh, look, it's Lizzo. She's got, she gets to show her acting chops. I mean, was that the point, was to show that she can act and therefore is going to be in other movies and things like that? Jack Black, we know, is already established as a movie actor, right? And comedian, and sometimes the career he's fallen into is as a musician, right? With Tenacious D and all that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, and again, Lizzo it's kind of like what they used to do. They used to put Michael Jackson into shows like this, or, like, because they wanted a famous person to lend credibility and build audience. I mean, like, Lizzo fans will come and watch this show, presumably because she's in it, but then again, by the same token, she's also given the chance to, like Elvis, putting Elvis into movies. It's kind of, what's the point? That's not the reason why they're famous, right? So it's kind of a weird thing. I mean, Christopher Lloyd makes sense because he's technically a, seasoned sci-fi actor. Jack Black immediately put the ridiculousness in the show to me, like, because I can't take him seriously, right? In any role he plays, right? So he was kind of like the Wizard of Oz, kind of like goofy angle to this whole thing, right? Unnecessary for the compared to the seriousness of Din Djarin or Bo-Katan's missions, right?
Yeah. Jaime, how about you?
Yeah, I think if you're going to have all of those folks cast, you probably need to spread them out a bit. I think the one I enjoyed the most was probably Christopher Lloyd as the seemingly like, I don't have time for this sort of administrator guy. Yeah. I think he fit that role pretty well. And it's kind of nice to let the cameo sort of shine a little bit on its own and in the background. Whereas here, it did feel a little much to have all three. I think you can have all three in the show if you want, just not the same episode.
Yeah, I think that's where I fell on it too. I think if you had given me one of those cameos and the rest of them were just character actors, I probably could have been like, okay. I mean, we've had some other famous faces in the show. Bill Burr has had a recurring part. We've had famous faces who we recognize before, although to his credit, Bill Burr was great in his episodes, both of them.
True, yeah.
So, I think that elevates it. I can't say that I thought any of those three performances in this episode were particularly standouts. Strangely, I think Lizzo put on the best performance of the three of them.
Yeah, no, I was going to say Lizzo was the best. Yeah. So a question I have for you, Jonathan, is as the expert story crafter, wordsmithy kind of guy, did you get the sense that Christopher Lloyd was the problem?
Oh my God, are you kidding? Yeah, yes, 100% yes.
No, I mean who was the one that was making the droids be bad and all that kind of stuff? Because he had his hand on the button, right, the whole time.
Yeah, no, that for sure. But also just he had very much that air of like, you don't cast him just to be the guy who leads them to another thing. Like that's the problem with stunt casting, right? If that had just been somebody you didn't know, you could have come back and been like, oh my God, we never would have suspected it was that guy. When you cast Christopher Lloyd, you're like, yeah, it's that guy. Like, it's just, that's the problem when Hollywood gets too clever for itself, right?
Yeah. I guess, yeah. But I mean, what I'm saying, though, is if it wasn't Christopher Lloyd, if it was another actor saying those lines in that story, was it clear to you? Because it wasn't clear to me that he was the problem.
Yeah.
Because I fall for the Hollywood trickery all the time, right?
Yeah. I still think he would have been the top of the suspects list just because they make a point of saying his name. They make a point of saying, again, it's the way you write these things, and they do write them very deliberately, and there's a way you craft those words to draw viewers in, to get them invested, so that when you get the twist, you're like, but he was a good guy. Why would he do this? But yeah, it did kind of. I mean, I think in this case, it's hard to say. I was immediately taken out of the moment by the stunt casting. So yeah. Okay, so. This is the deepest cut Easter egg that I've ever found. And actually, it's going to tie into Star Trek too. So hold on to your socks. So the stuff that the droids in the droid bar, which was a hilarious twist on the scene from A New Hope, right? Where they go into the bar.
It was literally the same bar, wasn't it? It was the same bar, right? Or same layout.
I don't know. It was very similar for sure.
Yeah, well, they're coming down the stairs. Hey, we don't serve their kind here and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the substance that they're drinking, eventually they find out is tainted with these nanobots is called Nepenthe. So Nepenthe is also the name of the planet that Riker and Troy live on in Star Trek. They mentioned that in this episode that we just watched today. Pretty funny.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
But even deeper cuts than that. So Nepenthe is mentioned in Homer's Odyssey, right? It is a possibly fictional. It's the drug of forgetfulness in Homer's Odyssey. So the idea is that this is essentially booze for droids. Nepenthe is basically the drug of forgetfulness for these droids, right? So they want to forget their day of serving humans. They take in this Nepenthe. I was like, okay, I like it when writers in writers' rooms are clever, but that is like crazy deep cuts. We're talking about ancient Greek, Homer's Odyssey. It's like, okay, sure, yeah. Let's talk about 8th century writing. Sure, why not?
They made me take this class as a required course back in college, and by golly,
and I'm using it.
Of my money. Yeah.
You got it.
I had a bet with my roommate that one day I could put Nepenthe in a story, right?
Yeah, really. Honestly, it feels like there's a movie. It's not a great movie. There's one line that always made me laugh. There's this movie with Steve Martin from the 80s called Leap of Faith, where he plays a huckster evangelist. And they do this like traveling road show where they put it up. And as part of the road show, every night, they do a betting pool, things that he can't fit into his like sermon, his evangelizing. And so one of them is like aluminum siding. Bet you can't say aluminum siding while you're doing your speech tonight. And so he has to figure out how to work aluminum siding into that. And so when they do stuff like this, I feel like somebody bet somebody else $20 they couldn't get the word Nepenthe into a script and get it through and pass, but apparently they did.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I wonder if the writers are the same writer wrote for both series.
Yeah, really.
Doubling down, right?
Yeah, no kidding. So essentially, when you boil away all this side quest stuff, this is basically we established that the Mandalorians who had walked away that we met last season, Axe Woves, Costco Reeves, and the rest of them that had all the stolen Imperial ships and that were working with Bo-Katan, who had buggered off. Basically, Bo-Katan wants her stuff back. She wants her toys back. She goes, she challenges Axe Woves. They have a fight. She beats him. And then he's like, but you're still not our leader because you don't have the Darksaber. And then something I think we talked about a couple episodes back, when Din Djarin gets beaten by that weird creature on Mandalore.
Yeah, he couldn't handle it. Yeah,
he loses the Darksaber. She picks it up and uses it and defeats the thing, and therefore she's entitled to it. I think at the time wondered if that was going to come back around, and sure enough, that was how they sort of wrote it out. So now she's back. She's the leader of the Mandalorians. She has the Darksaber, which is great because she's way better at it than he is, and she's going to lead them in. The only thing that made me wonder is, so we know the Armorer is like appointing Bo-Katan, saying, you go round them up. We're going to bring up you. You need to reunite our people and all that kind of stuff. Is she going to be happy that her sort of devotee Din Djarin has given up the Darksaber?
The Armorer lady?
Yeah.
No, I think she's setting up Bo-Katan to be the leader of the true the Return of the King kind of thing, right?
Yeah, but I wasn't sure if it was like, hey, you bring me all the people and then I'll stick the knife in your back. But now all of a sudden Din Djarin was like, nope, this is yours. You're the real leader. Here you go. I wonder if that's what the Armorer had in mind, or if the Armorer was like, actually, I'm going to put in Din Djarin as like my puppet leader down the road, and you just messed it up.
She knows that Bo-Katan saw the what's it called, the Mythosaur,
the Mythosaur, right? Yeah, true.
Yeah, so she knows that she rescued Din Djarin. She's been in the water. She was a leader from a leader clan, right? She was technically destined to be, the sitting on the throne of her own house, right?
Yeah.
And her ancestor had the Darksaber, right?
There's yeah, they make a point of saying that in this one. Several people call her princess, right? Like she's the princess of Mandalore. Yeah. I'm curious. I'm curious to see how this plays out. We got 2 episodes left. For my big question, I had one that I've said, you've heard me say for several weeks now. Can we please just get on with it? Like, this season, we've now had 6 episodes. You probably could have eliminated the fat from this and told everything they've told in like 3 episodes, 3 really good episodes.
Well, this is the thing. Like I think we have all been spoiled by Andor because it was so superior to anything we've seen so far, right? The Obi-Wan Kenobi was. The 17-year-old kid in me loves the Obi-Wan Kenobi thing, but the mature story reading, having seen, a lot of people are disappointed with the whole Obi-Wan thing. They thought it was really weak and really flat, and again, like the whole, why did he have to fight Anakin Skywalker in the middle of it, and what was the point of that, right?
Yeah,
retconning the whole thing. They could have done. They didn't do such a good job with that. The Mandalorian, if we hadn't had Andor, would this have competed with the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian, or even Book of Boba Fett, right? In terms of quality, you're right. There are episodes of this that I'm kind of like, well, I'm watching this because I'm on a podcast and I have to talk about it after I'm finished seeing it, kind of thing, Yeah, I don't know if I would have, like, if independently, again, I have this problem with Apple and Star Wars. So I like everything they do, irrespective of whether it's a road apple or not, right? No, there have been plenty of road apples in Apple's equipment and production, right? But would I have continued otherwise, right? Like, would I have just sort of let it slide? Like, there's a few shows like that, a few things like that I just haven't gone. I didn't go out of my way to do Clone Wars. I didn't go out of my way to do, Rebel, until you told me that I needed this to sort of fill in the blanks, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that I have watched, Rebels and Clone Wars up to the point that I have, even though I've still got like 3 or 4 episodes to finish on that, right? I think I have 1 season left to go on Rebel, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, the big stuff starts to happen in the later seasons.
No, I know there's big stuff coming. I know about some of the battles that I haven't seen yet, but I know that they happened, right? So so I just have to go through the motions of watching them. But you're right, the Ghost and what's the name, Sabine, and that Sabine is the one you're talking about coming back in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
into this show.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, they've already announced they've cast an actress to play Sabine. The question is, are we going to see her here first, or are we going to see her in the Ahsoka series first? But they've clearly been telegraphing that they're bringing the Rebels crew back together, the Ghost crew back together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Actually, I just over the last couple of days, I rewatched the last.
It was Seb in the Ghost crew.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where Seb comes from. Okay, yeah. Yep. I was trying to put that together. Now I know it. Now I know who he is. Okay.
And he's based on Ralph McQuarrie's original sketches for Chewbacca.
Right.
That's what he thought Chewbacca should look like in his first concept sketches in like 1975. Yep. Yeah. No, I think it's going to be fun to watch this stuff come together. I just wonder what we're going to get out of these last 2 episodes. It feels like this one was a lot of side mission and not as much direct mission, but yet the direct mission has gotten the band back together. They've got all these ships. They've got the Darksaber in Bo-Katan's hands. Like, it seems like they're moving all this forward, and I think it could be, a really good payoff these last 2 episodes. So hopefully we end on a high note, because it's been a bit of an inconsistent season. Not their best, I would say.
It was better. This was a better episode than most of the episodes we've seen so far. But was last week's also done by Bryce Dallas Howard as well?
I can't recall if she did last week.
I remember seeing her name last week. That's why I'm trying to think. I think I'm just going to check IMDb right now. So I thought she had directed last week as well.
I was going to say earlier, I sat down this week and I watched the last few episodes of Clone Wars, the ones that happen in parallel with the events of Revenge of the Sith. So where Ahsoka and Bo-Katan are fighting Maul on Mandalore while all the events are happening for Obi-Wan and Anakin that are happening inside the movie. And man, those are good stories. So well done. And B, it definitely reminded me again that that there's that long relationship between Ahsoka and Bo-Katan, and so it'll be interesting to see how they bring these series together as we are finally going to get our Ahsoka series later this year.
Mm-hmm. By the way, last week was not directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. All right, well, let's move on to our watch list. No Bad Batch.
No Bad Batch. We're done.
No Bad. Sure. We'll move on to the watch list. I'll go first since I'm first on the list here. Nope is coming to Crave April 14th, which is next week. So looking forward to that one. That's kind of a twisty, weird one from Jordan Peele, which I don't think any of us have seen yet.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope to nope.
And I highly recommend that you guys stop everything you're doing and binge The Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, that's been on my to-do list.
Although I gotta say, I know, Jonathan, it's not your cup of tea because it's horror and all that kind of stuff. But it's weird. I was trying to think of like how could I sort of explain it. It's a bit Gilligan's Island. It's a bit the It story where it's the kids have an experience and then they have to relive it as adults, kind of thing. And it's a bit Wiccan. It's a bit X-Files. There's possessions and it's funny because some people are like really into religion and some people are super skeptical and they get together. What it's about, I mean, without giving too much away, it's a soccer team that's on their way to the finals and they're flying over the Rockies. The plane, and they're in a private plane. The plane crashes, and then they have to live in. They have to survive while they're waiting to be rescued. However, they're crashed somewhere in British Columbia or the United States, and they live there for a year and a half. That's the Gilligan's Island connection. Like, why couldn't they just walk 20 feet and get to the next town? That part's a bit implausible. But it's sort of the weird sort of things that happen and the choices. It's a bit Lord of the Flies too in that sense, but really, really well acted. I mean, the young girls who play the teenage, high school soccer players, it's a bit like Stranger Things in that sense. But then the people playing them as adults are just amazing actors as well. And what's really cool, like Juliette Lewis plays one of the characters, and there's a young lady who plays her as a young girl, and she even does stuff like drops the register of her voice so she sounds like the adult Juliette Lewis kind of thing, right? But not noticeably, right? And the actresses look like the young actresses look like the older actresses, and in terms of like that's just her as a younger person, right? So it's really, really interesting. And I usually like, if I want to binge something, I'll sit down and watch a couple of episodes here and there. But I literally did this in 2.5 days. And I'm, tomorrow, next episode for season 2 comes out, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I caught up on a few things the last few weeks, and I couldn't decide what I should do next between a few different things. Yellow Jackets was on the short list, and so is Succession, because everybody's talking about that, and I've never watched an episode. So
how many seasons do we have to? That's another one on my list too. Is that like 4 seasons or something?
I think the fourth and final just started. So yeah,
okay.
But I think I think there's 30-ish episodes already out there.
Cool. All right. And then this last one here I've got, it's called Star Wars Always. It's a 5-minute remix of all of the Star Wars, all 9 movies by Topher Grace and another director. And it takes all of the best parts of Star Wars and puts them together, and it's actually pretty entertaining. Yeah. So it's just to sit down and watch 5 minutes of like all the sort of highlights of, including Solo and Rogue One, and yeah, it kind of just ties the whole thing together. It's I guess a mega trailer if you want to call it that, but it's actually really, really well done. So cool. Star Wars Always. Over to you, John.
I've got a few things this week. So in addition to catching up and rewatching the 3rd season of Barry, because I am super excited that the 4th season of Barry is going to be up in a couple of weeks, I made time to watch a couple of things we talked about in our previous watch list. So 3,000 Years of Longing, which is it's a very unusual movie. I wasn't sure what to expect. It's Idris Elba, and it's what's her name? Tilda Swinton. And it's basically, she is a professor of storytelling from England. She goes to Istanbul, and she goes to a tchotchke shop, and she finds this old bottle, and then, of course, in the old trope, she opens the bottle, and out pops a genie, and the genie is Idris Elba. And from there, he starts telling her sort of his life story, and then we get to see it sort of on the screen. And it's a really unusual, but somehow strangely enjoying, very visually well done story. It's George Miller, so this is the director of Mad Max Fury Road, the original Mad Max movies. I mean, this is, we're talking, nerd icon here, which is why I wanted to see it. And yeah, it's weird. I wouldn't say it's like a perfect movie or like, something that is an absolute must see, but if you're into sort of a little bit of sort of sci-fi fantasy weirdness, it's actually pretty decent watch. Idris Elba's quite good as the storyteller, and Tilda Swinton is actually, I've never really thought of her. I've seen her in a lot of different things. I never really thought of her as sort of the romantic lead. But, he's telling her this long love story, and you can see, and she's getting sort of swept up in this idea of love and stuff. And it's kind of sweet. And it's definitely worth a watch if you're looking for something a little off the beaten path. Next up, I watched the Tetris movie on Apple TV Plus. I don't know if either of you watched that last weekend.
Yeah, I watched it last week as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was my pick last week.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. I must admit, I don't think I've ever seen anything with Taron Egerton in it, because I have still not watched the Kingsman movies. But he was
good. Or the Elton John one?
Nope, I haven't seen that either. But he was great. He was very charming and very likable, and he reminded me of somewhere between a young Michael J. Fox and a young Frank Whaley. But he was, he was great in it, and just it's such a strange movie because it's sort of jumping from place to place, and they've got these sort of cartoon graphics, and it could fall into being really sort of kitschy stupid if you put your foot on the wrong side of the line, but they never really do. It's actually quite well done and quite enjoyable. And just
like I said, the first 10 minutes of the movie is everything you know about Tetris.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
up to
for
that
sure.
point. And then it's like just what, and the whole nonsense about dealing with the Russians and the Soviets, I should say.
Yeah, and just it's so
Mm-hmm.
funny because it's so tied to the the fall of communism in the late 80s. It's tied into the moving of the market of capitalism into Russia. Like it sounds very trite on the top level, but as you get deeper into it, you realize that this is like, it's just this perfect confluence of creativity and political upheaval and just all these things. But and again, the KGB are like spying on them, and it's a really enjoyable watch. I highly recommend that one.
Where did they find a working Lada? That's him. Right.
I love when he drops the gear shift in. You're like, oh man, that feels like the floor is gonna fall out of that thing. And the last thing that I had on my list this week, I watched Jurassic World Dominion has arrived here in Canada on Crave. I don't like to badmouth things, but it's awful. It is holy moly.
Didn't we see this in I thought we went and saw this in the summer.
No, I didn't see this one. I haven't seen any. Yeah, I haven't seen any of the new Jurassic ones in the theater. I've seen them only ever at home, and I'm glad that this was just part of something that I already pay for, because holy moly, was it bad! It was
rental for sure.
Oh, it was so bad. Like it may as well have just been like Sam Neill leaning into the camera and going wink. Like it was so cheesy. And like at one point, again, I'm spoiling anything dramatic here, but at one point there's literally like an archway and the T-Rex stands in front of the archway, and again, may as well look at the camera and go wink. Like it's so bad. It's so bad. I was genuinely I enjoyed Jurassic World, the first reboot. I thought that was well done, sort of homage to the original, well done. The second one was pretty forgettable, and this one was just abysmal. I honestly feel like it's time for this to go extinct. Like I'm done. I don't ever want to see another Jurassic anything ever again. Please stop making these. This is maybe in 25 years we'll be ready for like Jurassic what? Like they'll do something else and it'll be that much cooler. But they have worn this premise into the ground, and I'm out. I mean, it's so bad. I can't get over how bad it was.
Yeah. Cool. So, I mean, you've put the last one in here. I've seen this before. I just wondered why you put this in.
It felt timely. It's a pick so nice. We picked it twice or thrice, possibly. No, I've certainly mentioned it a lot. It actually works pretty well because it crosses the boundary between Spockcast and more than just code. So it's the scene from Terminator 2 where the title says John Connor's parents. It's actually the foster parents. Just if you want to nitpick there, John Connor's calling home and he's like, "What's up with my foster parents? They seem a little nicer than they should be." And just like we've been talking about, rooting out changelings, or on the technical side, how do you root out something like ChatGPT or something AI that's faking and pretending to be something else? They use a little trick of like, hey, I know this thing. I'm going to pretend and talk to you as if you should know this thing. And if you do not know the thing, then obviously you are a fake. So there you go.
So what is the dog's name?
Wolfie. Oh, that's the fake name, is it? What's the
fake name?
Yeah.
Max is the real name.
Yeah.
Max, okay.
What's the matter with Wolfie?
Yeah. I couldn't remember if that was a scene that was cut and then put into the after stuff or whatever. But yeah, you're right. It's right up there with the changelings and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, we didn't mention that.
ChatGPT. It just like this, the Summer of Deceit, I guess, it's not quite summer, but you get the point, right? Like,
yeah, we didn't mention that great line from Picard today that where Picard and the gang drop in and Geordi points the phaser at them and they're trying to figure out who's who and if they're all changelings, and Geordi says, 6 years ago you came to my birthday party and you brought me a gift. What was it? And Picard says it was a Chateau Picard Bordeaux, which you said was too dry, but clearly that was your problem because you've got a terrible palate. I was like, definitely a nice burn in there for Picard.
Yeah. Well, maybe behind the red door we find that the Jack is actually the Terminator, is possessed by the Terminator 2. The T2.
Yeah.
No? Okay.
Jack just keeps, he just needs to keep running up that hill is what I think is going to end up happening.
Now you're mixing metaphors.
Yeah. It's coming together. I mean, I already mentioned that the red door and the tendrils vines felt a lot like Vecna from season 4 of Stranger Things.
That's true. That is true. It's the upside down. Cool. All right. Well, I guess that's it for another week. So, Jonathan, people will get in touch with you where they find you.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as @JPK News or on YouTube at youtube.com/@JPK.
And Jaime, if people get in touch with you, where would they find you?
I'm on Twitter as @DevWithTheHair.
All right. My name is Tim Mitra, TIMMITRA, on the Twitter machine and the Mastodon machine and all the other things. And so until next time, we'll say bye-bye. Or we'll say see you in the future. That's what we say on this show. Yeah. Weird. Anyway, see you in the future. Bye.
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 You've been listening to the Spockcast podcast. If you want to find out more about the podcast or see the episode show notes, visit the Spockcast website at spockcast.com. You can get in touch with us on the website or follow us on Twitter at Spockcast. If you have feedback or questions, send us a tweet with the hashtag AskSpockcast. If you like the show, please consider recommending us to a friend, writing a review on iTunes, or pledging any amount at patreon.com/Spockcast. You can find details on how to help us on our website, spockcast.com/sponsor us. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the future.
I said see you in the future on the end of More Than Just Code yesterday. So I'm all messed up. We're all like, crossing over multiple universes and stuff. What can we say? So tonight, Toronto versus Boston on the TV there. The Leafs versus the Bruins. I just thought, I'd watch that as a sort of prequel to the
don't watch that
playoffs.
No, don't watch that. don't do that to yourself. In a shocking turn of events, the Leafs squandered a late lead and lost. What a turn!
Today?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't watch the whole thing. I flipped by.
It was a real grinder game. It was 0-0. The Leafs scored in the second period to make it 1-0. They rode it out till just past halfway of the third period. Boston found a way to score, and then they went to overtime, and Boston scored again. So there you go.
Have you watched Ted Lasso yet?
I have not watched Ted Lasso this week. I finally watched last week's episode like 2 days ago with my collective horde here. So. Yep.
How many did you watch Ted Lasso?
I did. I didn't watch it.
Okay. Yeah. That's all we can say.
Yeah. Did you say you haven't seen any of the season? Oh.
No. I've seen everything up until this week. I think the last thing I saw was the one where Zava debuts and they all end up at the restaurant with everybody. But yeah, I haven't watched this week's yet. I did raise it as a possibility today and was turned down. So I'll have to keep working on that. Luckily, tomorrow all of us are here, so maybe we'll be able to actually get ahead of that one.
Did Foster watch Tetris?
No, it's funny because she came downstairs the other day when I was watching it, and I said, "Oh, this is the Tetris movie that we were talking about," and she was just like, "Okay," and then like left. I was like, "Oh, I thought maybe you'd be more into this," but yeah.
I think it was cool that the guy played the ASCII version of it, which was really kind of cool.
That was one of the coolest things was when they have that scene where the two of them are sitting there like nerding out on programming it.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun.
I vaguely remember, did we not have that on Commodore like in ASCII? Can't remember. I've seen the ASCII version before.
I don't remember seeing it. Again, the first time I think I remember it was when the Game Boy came out, like for most people. So
yeah, that was the game, the killer game. So have you watched the movie Tetris yet, Jaime?
I haven't, no.
Because they use square brackets, like there's when I'm saying ASCII, like he actually, one of the versions he had of it, like the
original
version of it.
Yeah,
was written with square brackets. instead of cubes, right? Because
Yeah, because he didn't have the technology at that point. He basically programmed it in like 1985 or something.
Yeah, 84 was when the Game Boy apparently came out. As far I didn't know.
No,
that was the date,
Game Boy didn't come till later. It was because I think it was 9.
Because at one point he does in the movie say
89?
1984. He did say something about 1984.
I think that's when this whole odyssey starts with Tetris being created, right?
Oh, I see. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. April 21st, 1989 for the Game Boy is what Google says here. So that would make sense because it was the pack-in game for the Game Boy, but it was not a brand new game at that point. So timeline sounds about right.
It's so funny the way they explore that, and again, I don't want to spoil anything for you, Jaime, but they explain basically how it, started out as this programmer doing it in his spare time, and it just sort of exploded from there, from behind the Iron Curtain out into the world. It's a really interesting story of how this little humble, coder kind of made this as something fun in his spare time, and all of a sudden it just sort of blew up to the point where, you're right, it was the game that came with the Game Boy that everyone had to have.
And by the same token, though, because he was in a communist country and because he believed in communism, it didn't belong to him.
Nope.
It belonged to everybody.
Yep.
Right. Which is in no way spoiling the movie.
No.
I was just saying, oh, look, freetetris.org. Can we play it for free?
Yeah, I mean, nowadays you can get Tetris on every device around, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I just looked up the Wikipedia article, and according to them, the number one all-time game, of course, for Game Boy is Tetris, because of course it was packaged with it. 35 million units was what they ended up releasing just for the Game Boy alone.
Wow.
Yeah, this is not a bad number.
What I was going to bring up is that we didn't talk during the main show about a tale of two movies and their Rotten Tomatoes scores. So the absolutely shocking 90% and 94% for Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. This is a Oscar frontrunner for pick something. Who knows? Right?
Oh, yeah.
Clearly, it got some things right. If both the audience and the critics agree. And on the other side, you have the Super Mario Brothers movie, which goes a little bit more traditional of what we would see with this sort of thing. So the critics hate it at 54%, and the audience loves it at 96%.
Huh.
Yeah, weird, right? Like, at least that one I kind of expect. All right, if it's not going to be an utter disaster, it's probably going to be something that the fans like, but not the critics, because there was no chance that the Super Mario Bros. Movie was going to be enjoyed by the critics and hated by the fans. Yeah.
I still, it's honestly, it's the Dungeons and Dragons is the one that just blows my hair back. Like, it just, I'm so surprised that of all things seems to have caught this audience. It's the number one movie in North America the last couple of weeks. It blows my brains out. I can't believe it. I'm genuinely shocked.
Try and playing Tetris.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get how they, maybe it's great. I still don't. I'm curious. I'm more curious now than I was before to see it, but I'm still like, whenever it shows up on a service I'm already paying for, I will totally watch that. I don't know. It's not enough to entice me to a theater for Dungeons and Dragons, but I must admit I'm very much more intrigued now that people are like, no, it's good. Like, really?
Yeah,
really?
That's weird, eh? I've heard the same thing.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Who knew indeed.
She's where's Foster when I need her.
She's super talented at that stuff.
Game over. She's got a sixth sense about it. It's like crazy watching her play.
Yeah. I mean, she's an incredible gamer with reflexes that I could only dream to have, but yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But it's so funny because she plays rhythm games that go like 900 miles an hour, and I can't even imagine having reflexes that fast. And she says that some of the like high level competitors for the game like put her to shame. I'm like, I can't even imagine having eye-hand coordination that is as fast as hers, let alone faster. But we each have our gifts, I suppose.
It's the training montage, something like If you can dodge a wrench, you can move a brick. Is that the...
The one that I thought was most fascinating, and I was when she got the PlayStation VR, and PSVR has Tetris VR. So you're inside the game while you're moving the blocks as they're coming around, and it's like shifting around, and yeah, it's very, very trippy, but it's very cool. It's a very cool one. It's amazing the number of iterations that have gone beyond the classic Tetris now. They've got all kinds of stuff. It's pretty neat. Oh, Tim, you'll like this one. So, are you familiar with Maggie Rogers, the singer?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay. So Maggie Rogers is a sort of folk pop singer, become very popular the past few years. Sherry and I saw her when she was still sort of on her way up a number of years ago.
Is that the woman Tommy, is that the woman that Mark was talking about yesterday?
Which one?
Maggie Rogers? Who's the singer he was talking about seeing? And anyway, carry on.
Yeah,
no,
she's
the images that came up were a different person. It was somebody who had like alopecia or something, I think.
Okay.
No, this is somebody else. Anyway, she's a young woman, American singer, and she announced her summer tour today. Yeah. And like The Cure before her, she said, I wanted to do something about people's complaints about the high service fees and the things that are going on around ticket sales in around the world. So I've decided to do something a little different for the sales of my concerts next week. So the way that it's working is the first day that tickets are on sale, they're only on sale in person. So you have to go to a location and you have to line up to get the tickets. First come, 2 per person, but you physically have to go. So in Toronto for her show, which is coming up in August at the amphitheater, you have to go to Live Nation's building in Liberty Village, and you have to line up. Really? You have to line up in order to get your tickets, and when you get there, you have to say, like, she said it'll be your choice when you get there, but you have to go in and be like, I want that one and that one, and you have to pay with like a card, like right there on the spot, and you get your tickets. And I'm like, wow, it's like the 1980s again. This is so trippy.
1980s. I stood in line for at Sam the Record Man. I stood in line with my friend on a Saturday morning for 4 hours, and then we didn't get tickets.
To see whom?
It was just Supertramp.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, I remember doing that right up into the 90s. I remember having to enter a lottery to line up to go see the Tragically Hip on the Day for Night tour. And I think there was maybe 6 or 7 of us that were all there, and it was basically whoever gets the highest number buys all the tickets for everybody. It was a maximum of 8 or something. And so we ended up basically buying 8 because we could. So but yeah, I think I ended up with the highest number, so I was the one that had to actually go and get the tickets in person. But yeah, it's when she announced this, I was like, oh my god, that is a true throwback. So yeah, I guess it's in the United States because there's no Good Friday observed holiday. They're doing that starting tomorrow, and here because we have holidays, it's Tuesday. So
yeah, I had to call in sick to go buy tickets to see Pink Floyd when they came the first time they came to Toronto.
Yeah.
That was first of all, you had to buy the tickets, plus you also lost a day's worth of pay, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's, I mean, if I wanted to go see her and my wife does want to go to the show, theoretically, if I want to have the best crack at tickets, I'd have to take the morning off work and go do that on Tuesday. I'm not going to do that, but hopefully by the time they actually go on sale online, then there'll still be something half decent left.
So what's after the first day you buy them in person, and then what? Then they just go online, and
so then they're doing the sort of standard. They're doing an artist pre-sale, Spotify pre-sale.
Does she not think that scalpers are just not going to go buy them, which is what they used to do?
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's yeah. Of course they are. Yeah. I remember how funny it was because you used to have to line up outside the Maple Leaf Gardens box office to get Leafs playoff tickets for the same way, right?
Yes.
And I remember going there, and the line would be filled with homeless people and just like college students. And because the scalpers would basically be like, hey, I'll give you $20 if you just stand here and hold this spot and hold 5 spots. And then they would basically give them the cash. Here, buy me as many tickets as you can. And that's how they'd end up with a pile of tickets back in the day when it was physical tickets.
Yeah.
So no, you're right. It's. I'm sure there's going to be some people who pee in the punch bowl on this, but it'll be interesting to see what tickets are left after they do this.
Yeah.
So that was Maggie Rogers. Molly Tuttle is who Mark was mentioning.
Oh, Mark. Okay. I have no idea who that is either. I didn't look at it. Look it up. Molly Tuttle.
Molly Tuttle. Yeah.
Sounds like somebody would have a Neil Gaiman novel. Tuttle? Yeah, I don't know who that is either. Got a Grammy.
Oh my gosh, you got to be
from Nashville. Okay.
Decent. Said she must be pretty decent then.
I'm not knowing. All right, folks. We call it.
Yep. Well,
okay. All right.
Yeah. Rejoin for the penultimate episodes for both series next week. Let's see how it goes.
Yep. All right. Ciao.
All right. Talk to you next week.
Later.
Right.
Yeah,
bye.
bye.